here. Okay, so we're going to go over, like, kind of leave off where we did yesterday. I know I said I'd add that to Wednesday, but since I added it on to transports to Wednesday, we're just going to try and tackle all the residual emails you guys have sent me. So just going from yesterday, Jimmy here. I had it up. Apparently I have a lot of screens open, so now I can't find the email I had open. Sent conception. I think we left off where we made a customer inactive. We talked about that. You see here to close an account. Okay, got that. Okay, we're gonna go over the. You were talking about the letters and how do you create those letters in I-21. So anyone who has access to System Manager can create a new letter. So Origin, I think there's some generic ones in there too, but more like done letters. In I-21, you can kind of create a letter and use certain mappings to grab like the customer's name. So if you go into the maintenance section and go to letters for me. There's some default ones that we have set up that is specific to collecting. So you guys can go through many of this, and I'll show you where to run them in the batch printing screen and see which one works that you guys would be able to use. So I may have mentioned this before. A lot of the overdue collection letters, what those are is based off of due date. So let's say that 1 day overdue collection letter, that's anything past 30 days, if I'm doing that right. So if the invoice date is today, it's due 30 days from now, it's not considered past due until the next day. So I want to make sure you guys knew that's based off of due date and not invoice date. The one I created that was generic it might be towards the bottom. So if you scroll down for me, I created that Plan A budget, and you guys can call it whatever you need to. And when you open that, there's a little icon on the right side, this little icon right here, which is the very right next to that A arrow button. There's certain keywords that you can inject. So what that's like in the account number, I type in account number, and then within the system, you can find certain fields that you can automate and have it insert the information from the database. So in this case, I wanted the letter to show account number, which would be the customer's entity number or their code, or you can do entity name. So whatever you guys decide to do. But there's also other options on here, like your date, transaction number, transaction total, whatever you think you guys may need in order to create the report. So there's different types in here that you can use. So you can even use it for like your salespeople if you wanted them to create a letter, just really anything. So the best way to really learn what options are out there is look at the current ones that are set up so you can see. But we give you the description on the side to kind of get an idea of what this is used for. So let's go ahead and cancel out of here. So like in this case, I had typed in there account number, backspace 1 for me, Jimmy, if you're driving.
Okay.
Or whoever. So backspace 1. Oh, just backspace 1. There you go. So what I did here was, and I'm going to have you delete the brackets, the account number, so that way I'm going to have you insert one in there. So backspace that, or delete it. It might be a delete button. There you go. So now go ahead and click that little icon again, and then select a field that you want to insert. So let's say, go ahead and say entity name. Click that, and then say OK. So what will happen is, assuming you wanted to change the description of that line, you can say account name, and then it'll have their entity name. and then whatever verbiage you have, so that we're preparing for budget year, blah, blah, blah. And this is just what you want to type in there. And then the company name is your company name, but if you wanted to do something different, you could. If you needed your address, additional information, you can insert that on there. So go ahead and click there for me where you have your icon, and then press enter. And then go back to that little icon again where we can insert. Let's see, is there a field for address? So it's not the entity address because that's their address. I'm thinking maybe we had a company address, or maybe your phone number. Oh, that would be their entity phone number, not yours. So it looks like it only has our company name. Name of company. Okay. So let's go ahead and say cancel here, because in that little field, there's really nothing else that we can add. So let's go ahead and save. And then close this screen. And then let's go ahead and close this. And let's go to sales and go to batch printing. And the batch printing is under the activities menu. And then under the transaction type, I want you to select letters. I think it's towards the bottom. And then once you select letter, you have to select which letter you want to print. So all of the ones that's set up in the system manager will show up in this grid. So now go ahead and click that. When you do the letters, there's not a lot of criteria because it's looking at the system. So if you're looking for a specific customer, currently you don't have a way to filter it out other than selecting the same customers or the specific customers in the detail tab. So make this screen bigger for me and then click the detail tab. So what this is going to load is it's really going to load everybody. So if I'm hoping you have a list beforehand as to who you need to send this out to, so you can select this customer. I was trying to figure out a quicker way to do this. I just don't have a way filtering it out any further than the customer code. Because you guys have a list of customers, don't you? And you guys normally filter that somehow.
Just click on one?
Yep, go ahead and click on one, and then click print for me. So Jimmy, back to this, to that logo. I talked to Darwin last night, so we may have an idea on what we need to do. So that way, and I told him it needs to be done fairly quickly because we're going live in the next couple weeks, and so we don't really want to have to deal with all of the reports. So anyways, that's the logo stuff. So this is what it will do, is it'll grab the information based off of who you selected and then print it out. So really you can create any letters you want to. It could be just, and you can even email out these letters. So let's go, because we have that set up now. Hey Jimmy, on that email, it looks like it went through, correct? It was just wrong. It was the wrong spelling.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it came through with the incorrect spelling. Let me see if I have that here.
Okay. We can go into the setup to fix it, so that way you guys can see how to email out.
That's the only thing I saw was just where the quality oil and gas had an extra E in it.
Okay. Let's go ahead and minimize this screen for me, and that is Jack Abernethy. Okay. Go to System Manager.
For my conception, I see what that's on my end. Let me go change that right quick.
Okay.
While we're waiting, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
When we do those letters, is there a way to save a copy to the, like, attach it to the customer's consumption site file?
Not like as in automatic. Go to consumption sites. Is there an attachments tab in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're asking for it to like download it and then insert it into the file, there isn't a way. What you can do is download the letter as a PDF when it creates that view, and then you'll have to upload it manually into the consumption site.
Okay.
But if there is an attachments tab, you could. I just couldn't remember if there was one.
But I could download the letter onto my computer and then attach it to the attachment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So now to get to the I'm thinking if there was a faster way to the consumption site, but I guess it's no different than going to the customer hyperlink and going to consumption site since the menus are accessible on the left side. I was thinking there was a quicker way to get to the menu, but yeah, that would be the only way to attach it.
Okay.
Now while we're in go to the sales menu for me and then go to customers. Let me show you how to add that letter as an email. And then go to customers. And I think that one customer, and you can pick any really, but the one you were working on was like Abernathy, I think, under the name. And then once you get to the customer's file, you go to contacts. And let's go ahead and select, and we can just select this customer contact. It's okay. We'll just add Jimmy's email address or whoever's email address in here and open that for me, just for testing purposes. And let's go ahead and add Jimmy's email address in that email field right under username. Yep. Okay. So down at the bottom where it says email distribution, this is a multi-select option. So go ahead and click that arrow right next to on the left side, it says email distribution, right above notes. There you go. And then go ahead and select letter for me. There you go. And then save this. So you notice that's where you set up any email distribution option that is currently developed. So go ahead and close this. And then close that. And then let's go back to batch printing. And then not sure if it's going to take into effect just because we just changed it. But go ahead and thank you. And let's search for that customer.
Oops.
Yeah, now it's stuck. Click back to print tab for me. Let me see if it's
stuck.
Okay. Just go ahead and reload the browser. I have a screenshot.
Oh.
So
it just went back.
Okay. And then now click detail. So loading stuck. Okay.
Just as an aside from this consumption, if we had a customer call in and they wanted a copy of an invoice, can we do this same, go to that contact entity list and send it from there?
You mean as far as sending them an invoice? You don't have to go from there? Like if they're already set up for an email, is that what you're asking me? And they just want another copy? All you need to do is bring up the invoice and click email from the invoice.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, and you can access the invoice from any screen, really. You can go to customer inquiry screen and open up their history. I find it that the invoice grid is the best because I live in that screen. I'm always filtering. So for me, it's like, okay, I know the invoice number, I know the customer number, open the invoice and click email.
Okay.
So now in this case, so kind of like the invoices and statements when we're ready to test out the emails, you can tell it's set up because it says status is ready. And then as far as the email, so go ahead and select this for me and then click email. And then say yes. Now if you selected multiple, it'll obviously send each one separately. And off to the right side of the screen, assuming this one goes through, you'll see that it was done successfully. And then if you scroll over to the right side, I'm not sure if this one has one of those status. It's only on the invoices that it has status. Oh, sorry. It says it right here. I'm thinking of a different screen. That says sent. So now, unlike Origin, there is not there. I'm going to take that back because I think they may have added it. There's a way that you can tell whether something went or not other than this screen historically. But there's not like a PDF stored in the back end that you can go back to and say, hey, you know what, this is the last one that was emailed to you. But it does, when you send them an email, one option, like one of our customers, just because they wanted to make sure when an email goes out that they get a copy of it, they set themselves up as a CC on every one of their customers. So they're a contact on all the emails, so that way when it emails out a customer, they know they're getting it because they're getting an email too. So
you can put multiple email addresses under one customer.
Yep. So in this, like, you know where you set up Jack? You can set up 20 different contacts, and each one have an email and have the letters go to every single one of those. And then when the email goes out, it'll only send one email, but it'll have it like a normal email where it has like to this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that. So if you guys for a while just wanted to, or there's specific customers that you know you want to always see a copy to make sure they're getting an email, you can set yourself up as an email address.
Okay.
All right, so that is that. Go back to the print tab for me, just so I can kind of show you some of the DUNS letters. Instead of the Plan A budget, click in that magnifying glass for me, and let's just select like one of the, like how often do you guys send out collection letters, and what is the normal? Like is it the 1 day past due, or how would you guys do that?
Usually if they're over 60 days.
You said over 60 days. Would that be 60 days based off of invoice date or 60 days based off of due date?
Invoice date.
Okay, so in this case, you would want to select the 30 days because that would be 60.
Gotcha.
Because most of your terms are 30 days. So let's go ahead and click that. You probably won't have anybody though, because depending on how many dates we have. But let's go ahead and click print just so we can see what the report looks like if there's any. If there's nothing that pops up, we'll choose an earlier date.
Did she mention anything about the subject?
Mm-mm.
Conception, I received an email, Jack Abernathy letter. So that's working. Nothing appeared in the subject. Do we have an option to put something in the subject?
In the subject line? Let me see.
Yep.
You know what? We didn't select anything to print, by the way. I did it again where I had you click print before I had you select on the other screen. Apparently, I don't follow my own rules, my own instructions. Okay, now, so let's go ahead and select a couple just so we can scroll through. And now click print for me. So then what this letter will do is it'll list out all of the invoices, and then it gives you past the overdue amount.
Cool. So you next to Aaron, there's got one multiple invoices.
And then in these ones, what you can do is, just because these letters, there's not an as of date, so it's very date sensitive. This is as of today. This is past due. So if you do want a copy of the letter that you're mailing out to customers, once you have it printed, before you email it, I would suggest to download it, so this is your copy. And you can just download the whole file and you'll have it all in one file. You don't have to like download every single page.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one screen. I wish that had an as of date, just because if I wanted to work back a few days, because we're never cutting off at the right time, so you almost have to catch it. Go ahead and close this screen for me. And then go ahead and close this. Jimmy, sorry, you were talking about a subject line. I've never had to put one. I'm assuming there is. Go to the system manager for me. And then go to company config.
I'm just wondering, if you receive an email that has no subject, it typically looks like it's spam or junk mail, and maybe if we could have.
Oh, I see.
It's from Quality Oil and Gas Company, but no subject.
Okay. Go to System Manager option, second from the top. And then if I don't see anything, scroll down a little bit. That's where we have the email settings. That's just a test. Keep going. I would have thought it would be in here, so I don't know exactly if there is one. Okay, but that doesn't mean there isn't one and I just don't know it. So let me write that down and make sure I get back with you on that. Subject line. I know when we send out invoices, our subject line says invoice SI ... like whatever the invoice number is. And then the verbiage is actually hard-coded, it looks like, because I don't remember writing any of these. It just gives you the following invoice is now available. Please review and remit payment at your earliest convenience, and it attached the PDF. And then it gives the invoice number, the date, the invoice total. I guess you guys will know. You get it from us. Subject line for emails.
On those invoice things, it's got to be somewhere. It actually picks up the invoice number that you're sending.
Right. For invoices, yeah, on those emails. That's what the subject line says, is the invoice number.
And for the draft notices, it says, you have an upcoming draft type situation. So it's got to be somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, and it could be that it's hard-coded, meaning that we decided this is what it's going to send. So it may not be like a maintenance section where we can modify it to what you want it to say. But I'll find out, because I can't say. For emails, is this changeable? Okay. All right. Let me go back to my email. Do you guys have any questions about the letters? I think the best way to kind of go through that is just to see what options are out there. I didn't really see like how you guys created one in Origin. Is that something that you want to show me, like what your current Origin letter is, or do you guys just want to kind of get in here and see what kind of options you have?
Out here.
Yeah, that looks easy enough. We can
figure that part out. Okay. Now, what you can do, let's say you like one, but you want to change something on it, what I would suggest is open it and then I think you can click duplicate on a letter.
Mhm.
And then modify the new one.
Mhm.
Okay.
So let me see here.
say anything. They don't read them anyway. They know they owe. Yeah. So welcome to Disney World. October 2085. By the way.
All right. Let me see here. Letter. Sorry, going through my notes. So we talked about the letter. We showed you how to email those. We tested the email. Okay. There's a question on here about the customer aging report. So you guys are doing the whole multiple account status codes, and so there's not a multi-filter option like in the same row. So what the developer told me a way to kind of do that, but then it is inserting more like rows of the same account status code. So if you go into sales and go into customer aging, and there's two of them. There's customer aging detail and customer aging report. So aging detail includes invoice numbers. Customer aging is just customer and then the totals. So go ahead and click customer aging for me. So a lot of the fields as far as like the filter criteria default from what we felt our customers needed. So let's go ahead and kind of hover where that little arrow is and move down so we can see more of the filter fields. So the account status code, you have an option to do equal to, not equal to, between, but there's not like, hey, I want this, 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 and this, or not equal this, this, and this, and this. You can do one at a time or between, but one way to get around that and do multiple account status code is that if you were at the bottom of right underneath roll credits, right, there you go, just add another line for account status code. So let's say you wanted account status code 2 and 3. You would select account status code here, and then you would select 3 here and then select 2 up there.
Okay.
So you just have multiple lines for what you're looking for, or select the between, but then that would also mean they would have to be between those two. So it's kind of hard to do that.
When I'm filtering out consigned, direct, and budgets, so it actually would be between B and D.
Oh, it would be. Okay. So in this case, let's remove that, the last row we just created. And then you'll have to uncheck that one. There you go. And then remove. Oh, you've been around the screen. And then so instead of equal to, change the condition to between.
Between B and D.
There you go.
So in that case, you could. Okay.
So is that going to include or exclude? Because I need it excluded. Do I have to tell it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So do not include B and D.
Right.
Between is include. Between is always include.
So you just need C.
I need everything but C, B, C, and D.
Oh, so you change between.
Because I don't want to print aging. I'm doing it for collection purposes. So I'm printing everything that's been over 60 days old, and I don't want to do the budget customers because they're paying budgets.
Right.
And I do a separate report for consigned and direct stations. And also, I usually will do it by office, so I'm doing it by company location.
Okay. So let's do one scenario. So you said not equal to
B and D.
B and D.
Okay, and then the company location equals to, you already have, there you go. Yep.
Okay.
So that'll leave those
And then,
two out.
yes, and then the company location, you want to remember that's the warehouse where the invoice is posted to, not the default warehouse. So let's say that the company location so it's true aging, if that makes sense. Because I think Origin's customer aging was looking at the default warehouse setup or business location setup in the customer master. whereas our customer aging in I-21 is looking at the actual invoice location where it's posted, and that's going to be where it's due. So that might be something different.
But it usually falls within, there are a few that
would cross.
And then like Lumberg office, their location number is 02, but when she processes invoices, truck tickets, I know she's using location 3 because it's coming out of Lumberg's bulk plant. That's their number.
Okay. So in that case, it would be location 3.
Okay.
Now, what you can do is if you don't want to miss, maybe what you can do is between 2 locations, so that way you have her location. But I mean, in this case, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I gotcha.
If you run all of these and export it to an Excel file, then you can separate the locations.
But it's still going to be doing the location where the invoice was processed.
Right. Or where it posted. It's the inventory location. I should say it that way.
So when you run them, you just do our office?
I do our office, and I do one for Laurinburg, and I do one for Lumberton because I send everybody those lists.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What do you want me to do now?
So go ahead and click generate for me. So this is just going to show everybody's location. So let's say you're running this right here. You can continue working. You don't have to wait for that. It'll tell you when it's complete because it'll be green. If someone else runs the same exact report with different criteria, theirs is going to be on hold until yours is complete, and it'll tell them when well, they don't have to do anything. It just moves up in the queue. Because this is the same, everybody's using the same report, and you can run the same report multiple ways, different time, just different ways. So we're queuing up reporting, and the only time this would really be an issue is more towards like month end. If you guys all happen to, like I'm running the customer aging report, maybe Ann's running the customer aging report, so there's a queue that it moves up. But most of it. Go ahead.
Is that all reports or just aging?
It's many of the reports in the system, but if not invoices, just invoices are different. They're their own transactions. You can reprint them.
Okay.
If let's say you're modifying an invoice and someone's printing it, now that is a report. But if they're going to try and modify it, there's errors that pop up, kind of like what you see here, that tells you that someone's already accessing this file. I think it may even say who it is. It's currently locked by another user or something like that. And they have to either log out of it before you can actually access and do something with it. Or someone in System Manager can unlock it if they're sitting on the screen but they're not at their desk, that kind of scenario. Go ahead and click that generating report for me. I want to see, if you try to click it, I want to see what it will do. And then go ahead and just minimize this. I have a screenshot. I want to make sure that if I run this and this hangs up. Okay. All right, while that is running, click on it for me again, the little icon up at the top. Okay. I didn't realize. Not sure how long that one will take, but we'll move on to something else and check on it here in a little bit. Favorites page. The next section that you guys wanted to talk about was so that was a customer aging report. Can we invoice a customer and receive payment from the same screen? So I'm sure this has a lot to do with the whole deposit process. Are you currently just putting cash sales in the system, like in Origin? That's what you guys are doing, right? Just putting in cash sales? Or are you creating invoices also, and then putting a payment in so that way it has the right payment method.
What I was hoping to be able to do is right now we handwrite receipts for, like, if somebody comes into the office and gets a cylinder refilled, or buys a cylinder, or, you know, buys a part or something. What I was hoping to be able to do is right now we have to handwrite the receipt and then handwrite the payment receipt, and then at the time I'm doing the deposit, part of that process is I have to key the cash sales in, and then if it's a MasterCard Visa, I have to post that and then pay it, because you can't do MasterCard Visas that way, and then and then I do the cash sales, and then I can do them as cash rather than invoice and pay them that way, but it's all done separately.
So you actually you invoice it to the cash account.
Yeah, invoice and post, and then I go back and pay. With the MasterCard Visa. With the cash sales, I invoice, I pay, and then I post. What I'm trying to be able to do is to eliminate the hand receipts. And when the customer comes in, we create an invoice and pay it and send them out the door. And then we're not having to duplicate, you know, we do a handwritten receipt and then have to key it in later.
So these are cash sales.
Cash and master sales.
Okay. So in I-21, there is a screen that allows you to do payment, although it looks like it's just informational. It's not really going to create a payment record. Cash sales in I-21 is the same as it is in Origin, which it automatically creates a payment. But then if it comes to MasterCard and Visa, it's still going to be the same way you did before. So I say it like that, which means that you would create a Swing Cash and then go into receive payment and then receive payment.
Okay.
And then put in your different payment methods so that way it matches your deposits for the day or the calculation of cash for today. Now, that's just the normal I-21 AR process. Now, Jimmy and Ann, you probably, I don't know if you guys were in any of the point of sale sessions in I-21. Do you guys remember that in CAB? I don't know. How many customers do you see coming in, like doing any kind of over-the-counter sales?
Not as many in this office, but the other two offices see quite a bit.
Right. They have a pumping station at each one of those offices that a lot of their customers bring up to a 100-pound cylinder in to get filled for heating purposes. So, and that's a steady flow during the wintertime.
Now, the reason I asked that is that I don't know what the license is to purchase the point of sale process. It sounds like that's more of what you need if you're trying to speed up the process and have a receipt at the time. Point of sales, probably it's more like a cash register without the till opening, but it does all of the normal register like interface that you're thinking. And what it will do, and unfortunately I can't show it to you because I don't have it set up. When you do a point of sale, it asks you for whoever's working on the register, what location, and then you key in or scan whatever it is they're buying if you're going to end up using barcodes, or you just type it in, whatever. And then it has like the payment methods right on that, like a normal register would. And then when you close out your day, just like you would on a till, any cash over in shorts and all of that makes one posting to a customer cash account, which is like your Swing Cash, and then it creates deposits and all of that for you. So it's a true point of sale screen. And you can print the receipt and do returns or whatever it is. So that is that's probably the best, but then it'll cost you because it's you guys don't have it. It's a licensed piece. I just have it turned on, and I can show you guys that as a demo, or have someone show it to you as a demo on a different day. But if we stick with the whole sales module, you would do it the same way you did in Origin, which is, in this case, create an invoice for Swing Cash and then post it. For cash sale, you would just select the cash type. Then it automatically creates the payment type. Now, what I would suggest is, since you are having to enter in payments anyways, I would suggest putting in an invoice and then going to the payment record and then receiving the payment. And there is a payment receipt in the receive payment screen. So click receive payments for me. So although you can't get to it from the same screen, you can go to the menu and click new after you post the invoice, and then click new in here. Or actually just bring up a payment, any payment. There we go. That works. Except for a CF invoice, because that won't make sense. I would say any of them except for that one. But you could print it. I mean, there's like a print option up at the top.
Can I do this one?
Sure. That one looks like it's my method cash. And then click print for me. So if it was paying an invoice, it would have the invoice number. This one wasn't paying an invoice. It was creating a prepay. But the report looks the same. So if they have any pending invoices or balances, it'll show down at the bottom. Now, again, if the goal is not to have a handwritten receipt, so all you would have to do is create your invoice and then post it, and then go into the payment screen and receive it, and then give them that receipt. Now, only assuming this receipt would even work for you, because it may be that this is not the format you want your receipt to look like.
It won't work with Sweet Seed.
We'll have to keep doing what we're doing. Oh, well.
But then the customer code on that receipt will say your customer code and not the customer actually buying it, unless you start putting the invoice under the actual customer.
And a lot of these customers don't have accounts is the deal.
Okay.
And it'll show a balance, if there's a balance on the Swink C account and all that, so that it won't work. But thank you.
No problem. Now, if you use the point of sale one, I don't think you have to have a customer. I'll have to find out. So in your case, you don't want a name on there, is what you're saying. Not the account, not the Swink C cash account.
I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal if they saw it, but they don't need to know if there's a balance on that account and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right, on the report. Okay. So then on the point of sale, it's more of a receipt. So we can go ahead, Ann. I'm sorry. Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could set up an account just to receive payments like that.
A dummy account?
A dummy account, just for that.
Cash account sales?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't name it dummy.
I kind of like that. But that's an in-house procedure.
Yeah.
We can talk about that at a later date. But that might be something we can think about. It wouldn't have a balance on it, but it never has a balance on it. If it does, we got a problem with it.
Right.
Okay.
But we don't have to talk about that right now. So.
Okay. So if you do want a demo on point of sale, if you feel like it's, I don't know what it costs, but it may be worth it if it's going to be something you guys would help as far as your daily process for all of these on, like actual traffic coming into the office. You just let me know.
All right.
All right.
All right. We talked about that. We talked about SMTP. Okay, favorites. Go ahead and close this screen for me. And then you click the customer aging report. Let me see if it's not done by now. It's okay. So it's done. So what this is going to do is it just shows you the customer total. And again, this is aging as of that date up at the top. You see July 16th. As of July 16th. So if you're trying to do this, I know we're never working on today. We're probably trying to match it to like 16 days ago on the end of month. The customer aging in I-21 is an as of report. You can go back and reprint it, and that is the true as of invoice or the due dates as of that day. Even if it's already paid within the last 16 days, it is a true aging.
Okay.
All right, so let's close that. So going back to the favorites section, and if you do say yes to save this, this is the, I'm thinking this is not the filter. Go ahead and say yes. I think that saves the filter, but you know how you inserted the equal not to? You can save those defaults so that way it'll be there for you to use next time. You don't have to keep inserting your filters. Go ahead and click Home. This is Jimmy's favorite right here. So we're going to create a new one. So go ahead and click Customize for me. Most everybody will probably have a blank one. So on the right side of the screen, you click Customize or not. Mine worked. All right. Close. You're going to have to refresh it because this won't go away. And then try it, and then see. Then it came up on the right side of the screen. This is when you first click Customize. If you don't have anything on your screen, it'll pop up like this. Let's say we're creating a new group, which would be mostly everybody. So go ahead and click New Group for me. Now you give it a name. So just call it, say, Daily Tasks, for example. Because, we have a lot of menus. So if your daily tasks was for card fueling transactions, go ahead and go to the left side and click the plus button on card fueling. So scroll down a little bit. 246, card fueling.
Just past it. Go up.
Yep. So in here, go to Activities. And there's really only two things you do in card fueling. You need the transactions and you need the invoice. So go ahead and left click transaction and hold it down and left click maybe? Is that what's coming up? Drag and drop it under daily tasks. There you go. Once it's a plus, and then on the invoice, go ahead and drag and drop that underneath transaction. There you go. Go down one. There you go. So then when you go ahead and save this, and you have an option to move it up and down if you have it in the wrong spot once you have it determined. So go ahead and close. So now you've got your own daily tasks.
Bringing biscuits in the morning.
So if you have like a month-end process that you want to do, you can have another section for month-end. However, it's going to be helpful. So then you don't have to go to those menus down there. This is probably more of, do you guys have any questions about this so far?
No, we just really needed to record it and do their own, so that's perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Is there a limit of how many dashboard a user can have? There is not a limit. Since you moved into I-21, in iGuide we had like certain amount of users, but in I-21 we actually just decided that we were gonna, if you're a user of I-21, you have access to the dashboard because it's all by user login. So you can have as many dashboards as you want. There might even be some canned already out there. So Jimmy, if you have 100 dashboards you want to look at or create, go for it. I think I have 20.
Third screen.
Yep. Do you remember how to create dashboards or how to share them? When you get to that point, let me know if you need help as far as sharing your dashboard with other users. Okay?
Okay.
Training session.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah. Let me see. That's right. We do have training. Already. Okay. Do you guys have dashboards you're already using now or iGuide panels?
Just a couple. I have a couple of year-end ones, and when we actually did payroll on iRely, I had a couple for quarterly taxes, but I'm not using those now.
Okay. All right. So on the dashboard, it looks like it's going to be on the 31st. So maybe what you want to do, Ann, Anthony, and Jimmy, is probably kind of on an Excel format, have an example or two of what you would try to create in dashboard. And then that way we can kind of have an example so you can have context and we can like create a real one.
Okay. That's good.
Okay, so that was a dashboard. So the last one on this specific email was the whole deposit routine, and you guys sent me a wonderful document on that. So trying to go over this, I think you kind of touched base as to the cash process. So once you doing the deposit, you're doing all the paperwork, everything up through. So really what I need to show you is just to post deposit in iRely, correct?
Yes.
Or
actually, you need to figure out first how to do, like, what we do is we have 2 registers here. I think in most of the office, some of them have 3, or 2 cash drawers. And so Leanne will do her edit list at the end of the day currently and reconcile her drawer and then give it to me, and then I combine it with mine and I do the deposit from there. So I guess the first thing we need to figure out is how she's going to run her edit list to get what she needs to reconcile her drawer against.
Okay, and in order for her to reconcile it, she needs the payments entered, right? Because that's how she normally will be able to determine.
She'll have the payments entered from everything but like the cash, like the handwritten receipts that we were talking about when customers come to the window. Those are done separately, but she'll enter anything that has an account and is receiving a payment from a customer that has an iRely account.
Okay, so what you're calling your end of day is essentially confirming all of the sales that happen throughout the day and all the receipts, regardless whether they're cash or you receive payment or not. They could be on account, it could be where you have a check or a payment coming in. This is just her daily transaction. Am I right?
Yes. I think so, yes.
Okay. So if we go into the sales, right now in Origin, she's just entering and she has her own batch. And that's how she's splitting up everybody's work. Okay. So if we go into sales and go into invoices. And then make this bigger for me. I just want to scroll over to the right side. I'm looking for the entry person.
It should be all the way to the right if it's there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So rather than thinking of batch number, you almost have to think of whoever entered it. So who was that? Was it Luann you said?
Leanne.
Okay. So if Leanne is accessing the system and using her login, then she will be the person that's entered by. And it might be that you might want to do a filter. Oh, there's not a lot of records.
Not in a thing.
Okay. So we just have to decide. You see how this one has posted and unposted. So if you guys are going to continue to either post or unpost, it's up to you, but that is a filter option. Now, what this is saying is, I'm sorry?
What do you recommend, that we just post it as we take the payment or leave it unposted?
Well, if you're taking a payment today, you have to post it in order for it to be in the receive payment screen. Kind of like Origin, you got to post your edit list. But it doesn't stop you from filtering it, but now you can't use the posted filter yes or no as an option if you went that route. But you guys normally put in anything on account, you guys can, hold on. At what point do you guys put the payment in? At the end of the day?
For the hand receipts?
Yes.
Or are you talking about, I usually do the deposits in the morning, so I do it the next morning.
Okay. So let's say that if you didn't have a need to have to put a payment in today for invoices you entered today, you can leave it as unposted because there's another screen. You can go to the batch posting and entered by is in there also, and there's not as many columns. So it's a little more, it's not as, but you can remove columns here too. Minimize this, and let's talk about which one would be better. Let's compare the two. So if we go here and then we filter by Leanne, she'll only have one record, and click batch post. So this is like historical batch posted, and that's already been done. So this one, this grid, won't give you what we're looking for. So these are historical batches. Yep. So here we should have a username and filter username by Leanne. And this will only show records that have not been posted. So if you were not going to post throughout the day, and it's only transactions she's entering in manually, whether it be hand tickets or just invoices that she has to process, it'll show in here with the total. And then you can export this to a PDF or Excel if you needed some kind of form. Now, so this would only be if you want to keep it unposted. The only reason you want to post the invoice would be if you are going to apply a payment when the customer is present.
So we just need to decide.
Decide which way you want to go.
It's just like entering tickets all day, and then your batch posting it. You're doing an edit list. It's like Anthony doing receipt verify, and then giving an edit list. Mm-hmm. Same thing with batch posting for entering regular invoices all day long, and then doing a batch posting at the end of the day.
If she's doing other stuff like, I don't know what you do on the AP side, but if she's entering AP stuff, will it show up here?
Nope, this is specific to AR only.
Okay.
Her payments will be in here too, though. So if she was entering payments throughout the day, those will be in here. But that's because we have it pre-filtered to do so. So if you didn't want to see your payments, it's just a matter of saying not equal to payment. Do you see how it defaults with a payment?
So basically what I would need it to show is everything that she's collected. I need to have something that's to reconcile her cash, what she's collected in cash and checks and MasterCard Visas against. I need something to reconcile it against.
Right. So if
filter out the same way and get how much you actually paid out, and then you could go to invoices and filter what your invoices were for the day, and they should match, right?
I think that.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, if you want, this one right here doesn't show payment methods. Like, if you needed to know how much you received in checks too and cash and all of that, the batch posting screen will not show you. It'll show payment, but it'll just say RCV this. I don't think it necessarily shows the payment method, so you can't sum up in this screen. So if we're trying to find, open one of those. Let's see what it looks like on the receipt payment. So this was a historically posted received payment. So if you open it, it opens the received payment grid, but pre-filters it for you. So really, and then if you were to look at the invoice batch posting, that would open up the invoice grid. So really, maybe you just need to use the invoice for invoices and then receive payment grids for payments for filtering purposes.
And that's just one of those things we're gonna have to play with it to figure out which one's the best for us.
Right.
Okay? So, we have the information. It's just making sure we know which area we can get that information for what we need it for.
Right. And that's one of those things you can also, let's say those two combine, you want to create a dashboard panel. That's probably one that we can create a dashboard panel for people to use. Now, the bad part about dashboard panels is they always, like if something changed and you need it maintained, then it's like it's a report that you're writing constantly. You may not need to change it that often. I'm making it sound like it's that hard, but all I'm saying is that it is a customized report that may need changed, whereas these grids are not, other than removing columns and filtering, there's not modifications to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and you can create your own tabs too. So it's not like, hey, you got to use the same grid all the time. Create a tab and create a new one for you that does one specific purpose, where all you have to do is just go to it and refresh the grid, and there's your data. If that makes sense.
Yes.
It's just like you just added a line for user. We could create the same kind of grid here.
Right. Right.
So
right.
Should
And you can create one per employee. So like, let's say you process Leanne's, so you can have her as a default filter as a tab, Leanne, and then another person, so that way you don't have to, you can just have as many tabs as you want. So you can customize your own reports through tabs.
Okay.
Like that, rather than the dashboard.
Yeah, the dashboard's always a tricky little thing.
It can be, yes, because it's so customized, and it's SQL. So if you're not familiar with SQL enough, or the table names, then that could be, but if they're not going to change very often, then it's really not too bad. Like I can imagine the invoice. Yeah.
Anthony can handle. Okay.
Okay. So the deposits, I'm going to kind of pay cash, pops up, save, you run. Okay. So the cash sale, it is the same as Origin, if you guys want to continue using the cash sale, but it does not update the receive payment screen. So I'm almost thinking that if you are going to use a receive payments grid, you're going to have to not use the cash sale tab and just put the payment in for Swing Cash, because that's one thing cash, yeah.
We do it the same way we do MasterCard Visas, where we post the invoice and pay it. Okay.
Right. Make sure the MCV totals match your totals. Run the deposit slip. Do you print one off of Origin, or do you handwrite a deposit slip?
I print one off of Origin, and then I handwrite one too, but I don't. I just use a total for the check.
Okay. So our deposit slip is not in the daily menu. I think Origin was. It's actually in the cash management. So if you are creating the deposit slip, so go cash, go to bank deposits for me. And let's find, I think that one works. Go ahead and click that. We'll just open it and see what. Yeah, any of those should work. So if you were bringing in the deposits of the day, like this one right here, is a deposit, and then if you click print, I wonder if you had another one open. If you hit print, this is what the deposit summary will look like. So it's your choice, really, if you want to take this to the bank. I don't even know if they would take it, or if you still have to create one. But our deposit slip is not in Petro like you guys used to have in Origin. It's in, once it's brought into cash management.
It doesn't have the deposit account number on it anywhere, does it? Or is it at the bottom?
Scroll down. Nope, doesn't look like it.
No.
The main reason we did the deposit slip in Origin is because that was the only place that if you did that cash entry from the entry screen and you did the cash sales and paid it, that's the only place that the payment would show up on anything to give you a total deposit.
Gotcha. But otherwise, you still have it. Okay. So then that was okay. So in this case, since I'm having you change your process because you're going to be using the receive payment grid as like a way to filter, you're not going to be able to do that anyways because it doesn't feed into that. So you'll have your total report from the receive payment grid. But this is, I guess, a good way to have a report if you need it, though, to attach with your day, because this should come up to your deposit slip that you're taking to the bank.
It'll list out all the checks individually.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
We still just as backup.
Yeah.
Right. All right. If matching post sales ticket, then post payments and update posting cover, take MC totals, deposit totals, and cash man. So this right here is that very last portion of take MCB totals and deposit totals into cash management. So if you click new, and you have all sorts of payments throughout the day, you go ahead and click undeposited up at the top. And then you select which payments, and you can filter by payment method however you want to, and maybe this is where you grab your data to them. There's just all sorts of places. So you just have to find what's going to be the easiest for you.
There's the entered by on the right-hand side, so that's another way to filter.
And is this going to, is this going to just be showing our office, or will it show all offices?
It can show all offices. It defaults to your default location that's set in the user. But if you close out, like take out the filter, it'll load everybody's if there were other locations.
But it'll default to just showing our office.
Correct. It's the user default location. I should say it like that. There is a default setting per user.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So then in that case, what you can do too is you can have everybody post their payment so you don't have to wait for it, and then instead of you having to reconcile it there, this is the true reconciliation really. You check mark all of your checks and then move it from this into the deposit. So go ahead and select like the one below the one, like just select a few, not ACH because those are different. Do checks and cash. There you go. And all right, and click OK. So that gives you a total. So let's say you were summing up your checks. Just select all of your checks and then the total's at the bottom, right? And let's say in your case, we selected a few. Go back to undeposited. We're going to pretend you only selected check. And you know what your check total is based off of your keying or your little calculator. So now you can filter by a different payment method again and just select cash. And there's your total of cash. It's $24. I'm good. Say OK. Then you keep going to undeposited until you get all your payment methods.
And that should match.
And that should match your calc. Okay. So that might be it too.
Mhm.
And then your deposit summary can be your backup because that's what's going to the bank. Now, let's say you on your deposit you took $10 out because you guys went to Burger King. At the very bottom of the deposit slip, that's when you put in your negative $10 and apply it to whatever expense account you want to reduce the deposit.
Okay.
No.
But I think, I mean, we didn't really go line by line on this deposit, but let me know if I mean, I can talk to you, whoever, and kind of go through it if we don't need to do a session and just maybe spend 15 minutes if you need it, if you can't decide which one is best.
Okay. I think I'm liking this.
The undeposited fund section?
Yeah, to reconcile.
Payments.
Yeah. So when you select all these, and then you in the cash management section, and that'll give Ann a single entry to match against her bank stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
It will create one entry for, like in that one that you have highlighted, the second one from the top. The deposit amount for that one is $2,335.35, and that's what she has as an amount to clear in her bank rec, because that's the amount going to the bank.
All right, and then we separate out the MasterCard Visas and do those separate. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
And if you're crazy enough, if you wanted to, you can go into the attachments tab and attach. If you want to scan your checks, whatever. I actually started doing that here because I was tired of filing checks away, because then I have to go dig them out. So I started scanning checks and then inserting it into the bank deposit with my bank deposit slip.
So you're doing one of those scan the checks to the bank type things. Okay.
That, but then I also have a scanner. Actually, I do that. That's separate. But I have a scanner on my desk, so that way I scan my documents and just upload it in here. Okay. So that way I have copies of all the checks that I have.
All righty.
All right. I know we have a lot more to do. I promise I will get through those emails.
You know, you're just creating more questions.
I know. But you know what? I love that you guys are getting in there. You're asking the right questions, so I love it. I wish I can keep up with them as fast as you're giving them to me. But keep giving them to me, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Job security conception. Job security.
Well, as long as it's efficient, right? Because, man, hopefully you guys are learning lots. It sounds like it. Sometimes I have to, I'm going to go stop the recording too.